Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today's video is gonna be just a short walkthrough or tutorial. I'm gonna try and explain how I created that funny video where a tiny little female jumping spider was hunting me and eventually I got killed. But here I am, I'm still alive, and I'm happy to share with you a couple of editing tips and tricks that I've learned in Final Cut Pro. So let's jump straight into it. I'm gonna explain what you can see now in the timeline. There are two compound clips. One is the major compound clip and this one is just the outro, and underneath that there are just audio clips for the thunderstorm sound effect, the main music, and a couple of other sound effects, scream sound effect, and the more pronounced rain sound effect right at the end. When it switches to the outro, I want to show you the raw footage that I used where I was scrolling on a green screen. I decided to roll it out so it would cover the entire scene, and I would only have to crop in, from the left side and the right side once everything was keyed out. So you just go to the effects tab here, or effects browser, and then you just hit or type in key and make sure that it's set to all or video effect, and then you just chuck this key here on top of this clip. And you can see that there are a couple of issues here. All you gotta do is just use the sample color. Essentially just removes it with a single click, so very easy to do. I didn't do much more fine-tuning. You can go into spill level and all sorts of corrections, spill suppression, light wrap, whatever, just to make sure that everything looks fine, but I didn't really bother this time. And then all I did was I rescaled everything, obviously, once I crop that, the left part and then the right part, and then I use the main footage underneath so you can see this is what it looks like. Once that's done, all you have to do is just use the transform tool or the transform tab on the far right side, and then just resize, rotate, and that is essentially what I did. With a couple of clips, I also used the flip. So I flipped it around, you just chuck it on top of that, just to create footage that's not too repetitive, as I only took two separate clips where I was crawling to the left side and to the right side. I also used a drop shadow. So once that's there, you can see that it adds a drop shadow. I'm gonna just make it a little bit larger so you can see where it is, and then try to match the lighting of the scene and then place the shadow accordingly. You can go into this effects tab once again, and then you can change the color, for example, of the shadow, or the opacity, the blur fall off. And what I did was essentially just customize the position, the perspective point, just to make sure that it looks fairly authentic. On top of that, I also did a couple of other things. Let's just go straight into this compound clip. So as you can see here, I have already resized myself, and I had to line up everything. So when the spider is hunting that little moth that was just behind me, blurred out, a very tiny little insect, I had to make sure that I place myself in sync with the movement of that tiny little animal. So when I was scrolling from the top, you could see that there is some connection with the spider and me, as if I was the prey. Here I used a different clip again, and I tried to make sure that everything is synced up in terms of the sizing and also the position, as I did not have long enough clips, so I had to reuse a few of them. And then I just used a couple of dissolve transitions and then changed it around. And here you can see the spider is getting really aggravated and antsy, really wants to go after that prey. What I did here with this particular clip, I'm gonna just zoom in for you guys so you can see a little bit better. I used the draw mask here because I wanted to line up the leg as if I was just hanging off the bottom of the sleeve. So I got rid of that. Here you can see that the spider just jumped straight on top of me and caught me. Let's move a little bit closer to the action so I can explain to you what I did with this particular clip. As you can see with the transform tool, I keyframed every single frame. So the movement of the leaf, it was pretty windy when I took this particular footage. So the movement of the leaf was in sync with my body, as if my body was actually attached to the underside of the leaf. This was the most time consuming part of the video, but I think it was worth it because it made it look quite cool. Let's just go through once again what I had to apply to these clips. So the green screen, I had to use the keyer, and then I sampled the color just to remove the bits or parts that were not keyed out properly. I also used the horizontal flip and then the drop shadow, which I customized. I also used the custom LUT, a custom lookup table, just to make it look a little bit more cinematic. The color board, I'm just gonna go there, essentially pushed the global, the shadows, midtones and highlights, everything towards the blue range, just to make it look as if it was a stormy night. No color theory whatsoever went into this one. It's just what looked really good to my eyes. So let's go back. And then I also applied a little bit of Gaussian blur. This would have been probably right if I wanted to go with a very realistic approach, but you need to see my face. Here you can see that it's just too sharp. So I thought, yeah, 2 looks about right to me. So that's about the Gaussian blur. Again, the transform tool just resized. The rotation had to be aligned and in sync between these clips. So both when I was going down and then also up this leaf. Crop tool, again, I had to crop in from both the left and the right side, because if I had not, you can see that that part of the image was not keyed out. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward, but can be quite time consuming just to make sure that everything looks fine and everything looks you know, connected and not too disjointed. With the bottom clip, I didn't do much editing. I just adjusted the colors and chucked on a custom LUT, the exact same that I used for the green screen clips. And once the compound clips were created, which you can do by selecting multiple clips, let's just say these, you can just hold on the mouse and then pull it down, or shift and then double click on that, hit Option G, and then you can create a compound clip. Once that compound clip was created, then I also added a couple more effects. The rain effect, which I customized, changed the direction and the amount and density, and also used a plugin, the Badass Auto Zoom, which is essentially just a basic zoom. It has a ease both zoom style, which means that it eases into the zoom and also eases out. So it is very slow to start with, and it slows down right at the end as well, which looks pretty cool. Let's just briefly talk about this last clip. I used a telephoto shot, a telephoto footage I took of the full moon a couple of years ago, or last year, I can't even remember. I just scaled it up to 167% and changed the position as well. Just wanted to show you that I also applied this cool smoke effect, and all I did was change the blend mode from normal to screen. So it essentially just overlays it to the footage. I also added a better zoom out effect, so it zooms out and I get gradually smaller and smaller. The rain effect, I added a bit of Gaussian blur to this clip as well, just to create a specific depth of field and make it look as if I was just focusing on the moon with me standing in front of it. A little bit of color correction again, just to match the blue levels of the bottom footage, just to make everything look a little bit more synergistic or in sync. Before we go, let's watch this one more time again. Almost fell off. Come on, jump, bitch. So that's about it. If you're new to Final Cut Pro, this might have been a little bit confusing and way too complex for you. Sorry about that. But for those who are a little bit more advanced in Final Cut Pro, I still hope that you find some pieces of information useful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then hit that like button. If you're new here, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys very soon in the next one. Woo. Oh my god, that was so lame.